and you're dismissing it, saying check the profile, obviously fake, and then your gatekeepers are censoring it and removing it. And this is all happening in 2023, and you're willing to lie about that in 2023. How can we say that your accusations of censorship and thought control and cultism in 1830 are real?
I got a couple good questions. Again, I got downloaded everything I said for no reason. Not one person on this subreddit, which at this point had thousands of views, not one person was interested in exploring that subject. Jog memory, what is TBM?
By the way, this show is proof positive that all of their accusations about TBMs are false.
Last night I posted on Ex-Mormon subreddit. I made an account. I made a Reddit account.
Wait, you made an Ex-Mormon subreddit account?
Well, I just made like a Reddit account. I hate Reddit. It's stupid, but I was like, you know what? Let's try it. I made a Reddit account. I posted on Ex-Mormon subreddit. Yeah. Kwaku here. Ask me anything.
Shut up. You didn't ask me anything?
Subcaption. Seriously, this is actually Kwaku. Ask me anything.
Okay.
They banned it.
Wait, Ex-Mormon subreddit banned your Ask Me Anything offer?
He sent it to me, and it's got, I don't know what's going on. It's got a little, like, bracketed removed underneath.
Yeah, it means the moderators removed it because...
What? Wait, so it's, they always say, oh, we just want to have a conversation about these things. And the second you literally say, okay, ask me anything. Now, were you being a dick? Be honest.
No, I'm going to read you some questions they asked and some of my replies.
He has some solid answers in here. I scrolled through and like...
Oh, wait, shut up. Okay, so I got to find this. Go to...
Well, you can't because it's removed.
It's not just downvoted? It's been removed?
Let me copy the link and send it to you.
Okay, maybe you... Yeah.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. Man, I swear, it's all such a lie. They always say, oh, we just want to talk. And so you can say, okay, cool, let's talk. Like, I get if you're like, what do you want to talk about? Like when we talk to the Calvinists. But if you're like, ask me anything, that's about as open a forum as you can get.
And, I saw some actual, like, genuine looking questions in there. That was encouraging.
Some real questions, and then some people just like...
Some really kind of just angry
people. But you got removed,
like,
which shows that the gatekeepers of ex-Mormonism, all the John DeLynns, the RFMs, all these other people, they don't want to have a conversation. They just want to have a show where they get to have a moan, and it's not a convo. It's
they don't want a conversation.
I have less and less faith and engagement with these people every time we try and do something, at least just funny and human. So here, I'm going to look for it. So I should go to subreddit. I'm not a big subredditor either. So this is going to be a fun little
Reddit's a dark website.
Especially if you're saying really? I'm not a big subredditor, which is like, I don't think it's a term. I think it's just
I'm not a big Redditor. Yeah.
Steven Spoon used to say that he's not a racist or a sexist, but he is a Redditist. Yeah. If you're on Reddit, he does not like you and thinks you're less than. The best joke.
Funny. Here's the funny part too, is I just looked up Reddit. Dude. And look what it says. It says the logo for Reddit is Reddit dive into anything. So this is the open forum online where you're just like, everybody's open and they'll talk, but actually none of them do.
It actually has some great information on like voice acting stuff. There's like some really solid people. So results from reddit.com. Look, I'm doing this right now. So Kwaku, I'm just going to look up your name and see what.
No, it's going to be too much.
I texted it to you.
Oh, you texted it to me. Okay, cool. Did you put it in the Discord by chance so I could pull it up on the screen?
Let me do that.
Oh, Discord. You know what I'm saying? So here we go. Check it. Boom. Hit it in the Discord. Yeah. We just got all of our different logos up in there. That's kind of funny. So here we go. Boom shakalaka. Kwaku here. Ask me anything. Yep. What's it say? Oh, sorry. This post has been removed by the moderators of our Ex-Mormon moderators. Remove posts from feeds for vital reasons. What? There's comments though.
No, there's a ton of comments. But you notice it's like they always say that we're the censorship people. You're not allowed to ask questions. You're not allowed to. Mm-hmm. No, it's not true. So they're terrified of just like discourse, because that's not what they want at the end of the day. They don't want discourse. They want their version of correlated ex-Mormon church media.
It's really fascinating to see that, because I've been noticing this more and more as I'm talking with more and more ex-Mormons. First off, we all kind of have different experiences in the church. So I can see why sometimes they're like, you're gaslighting me, when I tell them what my experience was. But it's like, guys, are you not like equally gaslighting me if you're invalidating my experience, right? It's a fine line to walk, and I think it's important for us to try to find a way to talk around it. But with this thing where they're with their own correlated history, it's funny because the church has a presentation of parts of history that are there, and it feels like they find anything that contradicts it and then just pretend everything that was said before is a total lie. And the stuff that they're reading now is just completely true. And so they replace it with this simplified version of history that still doesn't match reality, I think.
Okay. And I'm actually going to add to that something that I just realized now. You know, when we're dealing with all the Calvinists and they start saying just this really dark dogmatic, like you are predestined to suffer or be useful for God stuff. But then you meet like average regular members of what is and ends up being a Calvinist church, and they have no idea about like the extent of the logical conclusion of like predeterminism and stuff. And you realize there's a huge difference between the pews and the pastors. You know, it looks like there's a huge difference between the pastors of Ex-Mormon subreddit that immediately removed and censored this.
Yeah, because a lot of the ex-Mormons just wanted to talk in here too.
And the pews. So some of these have not been eliminated. I can still look. It's weird. Some of them I can't look at, but some of them that I can.
Well, I'm just going to read some here.
Oh yeah. I'll read this one that I thought really fast. It was kind of interesting, and then go over yours. I thought it was interesting. It said, real gospel question that I've yet to see a TBN give a straight answer to. Here it goes. DNA, carbon dating, archaeological evidence, you know, and they recite basically their canon, their correlated doctrine for a group that, you know, hates the correlated doctrine of the church. They have a correlated doctrine, but it looks like somebody actually asked some real questions. How do you personally reconcile these conflicting ideas? I'm sure it's going to be a false premise kind of conversation or whatnot, but it looks like some people actually, before the leaders of their subreddit, the pastors of the anti-religious religion, before they censored it, we got some questions in. So you're going to go over them?
Well, yeah. Okay. Let's see. So critical thinking asked real gospel question that I've yet to see a TBM give a straight answer to. Here goes.
Yeah, that's the one I just read.
Okay, first, jog memory. What is TBM?
I think it means a true blue Mormon.
Okay.
It's either true blue or true believing. I can't remember which.
Yeah. It's meant to be a pejorative because that's all they're capable
of. It means you're a brainwashed person that can't think for yourself.
All right. Okay.
Which is ironically a thought terminating cliche.
Hey, am I being the ecumenical one here and saying I don't think all of them actually mean that?
Oh yeah, and he might not be using it that way.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. But anyway, okay.
You're
keep
right.
going.
You're right.
Keep it. Look, now I know how Brad feels. Okay.
DNA, carbon dating, archaeological evidence show that Australian Aborigines have been on that isolated continent for 30,000 to 60,000 years. The Book of Mormon, D&C, and Pearl Great Price Bible, and every living prophet maintains that Adam and Eve lived 4,000 BC. How do you personally reconcile these conflicting ideas? First,
false time hypothesis. Nice. Lizard people ran back the clock.
Catastrophism.
No. This is legit. I wish we had more ex-Mormon questions like this.
Yes.
This is cool.
Yeah.
Okay? Because what it does is it's a question that makes us dive into the mystical parts of humanity, which is what I really like.
And the real science, not pseudoscience TM, as Neil deGrasse Tyson wants to push on Joe Rogan. You know what I'm saying? Right. Well, or that also, CNN wants to cite in order to make you go home, get obese.
Not scientism.
Yeah, not scientism. Like when you get into real science, like I was a physics major that actually was going to transfer and create my own major of etymological physics, studying the origins of the universe, how redshift actually has to do with creationism. Like it's deep crap, multiverse level stuff.
Yeah. Well, I will say that the 3 points of this that can answer this sufficiently, I think. The first one is critical thinking. This guy presupposes that all the collected evidence shows that it must be true that it was 30,000 to 60,000 years. Now, as we always know, dates via archaeology are changing every decade, and we're always like, but the most current one says this. So he's presupposing the most current consensus, and I don't know what he's referencing, but I'm assuming he's being in good faith here. This is a presuppositional argument. Let's presuppose the academics are right. How do we reconcile what the scriptures say?
Yeah.
So we're already operating from a similar framework here of we both are presupposing an authority.
Yep.
Okay. And so that's how we know we're actually closer here than we realize, because no matter what, there's some authority, some form of dogma guiding your thought in world history. So the second one here is, what do we mean by Adam and Eve lived for 1000 BC? Because one of the most overlooked verses in Mormon scripture, in the Pearl of Great Price, is by the way, guys, I'm on
that 1,000 years in Kolob is like a blink of an eye.
I wasn't going to say that. I'm on medicine brain right now, which my voice also sounds like crap.
Yeah.
So forgive me if I get some stuff wrong.
It's all right. But, you're drunk.
Yeah.
Clearly.
You're not sober.
A couple Jaegers and that stripper last night. No. So,
oh my gosh.
Somebody gave me.
It's either a vision from Abraham or Moses where he's seeing the creation of the world, and he says, "And I saw Adam, which is many." It's a very, very interesting esoteric verse, the Pearl of Great Price. Like, okay, and I saw Adam, which is many.
That's an interesting
there's a couple ways to take that. There's one, we all act as Adam in one way or another. But then two, there is this thought from a lot of LDS academics that the story of Adam and Eve, Michael Adam, is the Adam recorded in our scripture. But if you follow the timeline of how the earth was populated, it doesn't make sense unless there were other Adam and Eves placed on earth.
You think so? That's an interesting theory.
So a multi-Adam and Eve hypothesis from Kwaku here.
And I saw Adam, which is many. As if, because Adam is also a title. Adam's a title. Yeah. Adam is a title, meaning there could be more than one starter races placed on earth with a covenant.
Yeah.
This also helps us answer perhaps the foundational stories of other religions as well.
Okay.
But this then argues, if Adam and Eve are the first covenant people on earth, then were there people on earth before Adam and Eve? For example, we know there are different versions of humans.
There were others.
Denisovans,
there were watchers. There was.
But even with like cavemen, Denisovans, Neanderthals.
He breathed life into Adam, which kind of insinuates that there was an Adam in existence before God sanctified him through some kind of religious and divine act. Therefore, is it possible that, as James E. Talmage says, God acts through natural laws? Is it possible that humankind developed into a point in which that God breathed life into what would be his?
And I think you're bringing up an interesting point here, Carden, because this is actually something Russell M. Nelson has said, is that pure religion and pure science won't disagree. And I think I'm totally open to our understanding of what the scriptures say and our understanding of scientific data to both be out of line with what is actually reality.
Well, and science really needs to have some humility too, just like religion does.
Well, science requires humility. You only end up with non-humble science within the realm of science.
Because the only thing I want to get off my chest is you're totally in my ballpark when you're talking etymological physics and archaeology, okay? And he says DNA, carbon dating, archaeological evidence, so on and so forth. Okay, well, did you know that, 50 or 60 years ago, archaeologists did not believe that Mayans engaged in human sacrifice and that they were the most benevolent of ancient cultures? They literally just thought they were these nice, I think the term back then, which, now we couldn't use, but I was like eco-savages basically is what they believed that they were. And that there was no theft among them, that there was and they were just wiped out by those evil Spaniards and those poor people. It wasn't until recent Mayan history that we realized, holy crap, these people were actually torturing children, strapping them down, having the tears go up to their rain gods in order to try and make it rain as they killed people after ritualistic game sacrifices.
Are you referring to the Aztecs?
all.
Aztecs and Mayans both had human sacrifices. The Aztecs had it coming more than anybody.
Yeah, I was going to say, only apparently got worse ever. No, it never got better.
So bad. And I said, and look, everybody's motherland did some messed up stuff. But the
not
Aztecs,
Poland.
That one was a beauty.
Not Poland.
Well, sure.
Not Poland.
Hey, they gave us you.
Look, and the winged hussars, right? Wait, no, what's that?
Yeah, the winged hussars.
Yeah, the winged hussars. They were pretty ill.
I do think one.
Well, can I finish my thought?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is my only other thought. Is that all the time they're trying to jump into ancient Mesoamerican, which actually the timelines don't really match up with the Book of Mormon that well. Okay, maybe Olmec timeline with Jaredites and so on and so forth. But Mayan timeline, it's kind of not right in the right place, I don't think. But completely, I should say. But I would say this: less than 1% of those jungles and the Amazon and the areas that even the Spaniards said these massive civilizations were when they first showed up before Smalltalks wiped them out have not been discovered. Only recent LiDAR has even penetrated some of those jungles. So saying that there's nothing here and archaeology doesn't support it is like literally saying that I know who won when 1% of the votes are in. At the same time, the old world is extremely well documented. The first 42 pages of the Book of Mormon happen in ancient Israel, Yemen, Saudi Arabia, places where we're coming up with maps of Nahum. And I was reading the Wikipedia article on the maps of Nahum, and literally, do you know what it said on like dissenting ideas? The dissenting ideas, it said, the academic Dan Vogel says that this can't be true because we don't know the pronunciation of Nahum. Like, you talk about we're the cult because you have thought terminating cliches. It's like, what you're saying, a map's not valid because you don't know how the word was pronounced. Like, what?
I think with what you're saying there, they're finding massive cities with this LiDAR technology, right? Like, there's so much more room for growth. So I don't know. For me, there was a guy I taught on my mission who horses in the Book of Mormon was the breaking point for him and was like, oh man, it can't be true because there aren't horses. They've now found horse skeletons.
They thought saber-toothed tigers were a hoax. I live next to La Brea tar pits, one of the most amazing Pleistocene, woolly mammoth, saber-toothed tigers, giant sloths, all got caught in, people don't realize it, but La Cienega, the street La Cienega, that's the Spanish word for the swamp. All of Los Angeles was a river valley and a swamp in which you could get oil. It was actually oil rigs that we still have in San Pedro. That was one of the earliest industries in Los Angeles. This has preserved perfectly 10,000-year-old skeletons. The best woolly mammoth we found was when they were extending the 405 freeway in San Diego. Right now they have parrots flying around, but the last ice age made it so that woolly mammoths could make it all the way to frickin' San Diego. There's amazing stuff here and we can have conversations about it. But the problem is that only 50 years ago, science was saying these things didn't exist. Scientists said that Joseph Smith was incorrect and the Book of Mormon was false because there's no way that a Jew in ancient Israel on his third day's journey outside of Jerusalem would have built an altar and offered sacrifices. Enter the Nag Hammadi library when we find Temple Scroll Q11 and we find out that there's a conservative subsect of Essenes who are the most conservative priests, dare I say, sounds a lot like Lehi, who thought that, okay, once you're outside of Jerusalem, you now risk violating the Sabbath with your 3 days journey inwards, resulting in 6 days. Therefore, you should make your own altar and offer your own sacrifices. Like, there's amazing archaeological evidence in the old world that is much more better understood and well documented for the Book of Mormon. It's so minimalist to just boil it down to, oh, well, Australian Aborigine.
And also, I think that this person is maybe not trying to do this, but it's actually a little bit dogmatic in a way that I think they probably try to avoid doing within the church too. Because sometimes the church will be like, well, it says 4,000 years, so it means 4,000 years. When there's probably more to it. Like Kwaku's bringing up stuff about alternate atom theories, which could have some validity to it. Well, it could be interesting.
It's no weirder than the multiverse.
Let me finish this point though. I think that like we need to have a level of humility within our scientific and religious beliefs that enable us to learn with new information as it comes. Because we're going to see things, I think, within our lifetime here we're going to see evidence of pre-Columbian contact in the Americas. It's going to change the way that people think it was just the Bering Strait over into the Americas, and that's how all the Native Americans ended up here.
And we're already doubting the Bering Strait.
Yeah.
I mean, well.
But that was settled science for so long. And so I think avoid scientism. Don't be religious in your scientific beliefs. Don't replace what you were trying to leave behind in the church with something new.
Can I be Brad?
It's just a different robe. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Can I be Brad here for a second?
Yes.
We come to this with bias because we're so often dealt with intellectually dishonestly and in cruel ways by like Bill Reel and Corbin Valuz and John DeLynn and all these guys. I force myself when dealing with somebody new in these arguments to just reread the question in a different tone. And I give credit.
Yeah, I didn't even finish my answer.
Yeah, I was going to say, I give credit to critical thinking. There's no snarky digs here.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
And I'm not trying to say there is. I also can't read the question. It's super blurry for me. So I'm sorry if I'm not
following it on my phone
responding specifically to your question. I'll back off quickly.
Okay, to finish the answer, because we've kind of veered away from
the specific answer.
Yeah, so I do think alternate atoms is an important theory for I saw Adam, which is many. There obviously were people that existed on Earth before Adam and Eve. These different, you have your Neanderthals, you have your Denisovans, you have your other versions of humans that did definitely exist. So clearly there was pre-Adamic life. Now, a lot of times ex-Mormons will intercut here and say, well, that is not what I was taught in Sunday school. That is not, okay, fair. How would you react in Layton, Utah, when you've got 40 minutes to get through a gospel lesson about Jesus, and the guy gets there and is like, I think there were many Adams and Neanderthals are fighting with it. You go, what on earth? Read the Beatitudes and sit down. I think sometimes we have this assumption that the church is also supposed to give us in-depth conversation, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
The church is supposed to correlate and give the easy message for everyone. We as disciples get to go do this fun stuff ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel
it's
like
the milk before meat.
Well, I just say
it's not even milk before meat. It's a worldwide correlated church.
You only have freaking 30 minutes in some places to get through this stuff. You're gonna be pissed when Brother Jacobson's like, my theory on Neanderthals and how that. You're like, shut up, read, come follow me. What are you doing? So I do think one of the things ex-Mormon, the ex-Mormon narrative has done by stifling all deep conversation of these subjects is they've done away with so much cool wonder and mysticism. Like, there's a reason why Graham Hancock's show is blowing up and why everyone loves him. And he's not LDS, but people like him because even outside of our church, people are like, wow, alternative theories to some really interesting questions. And I like hearing this. I'm sick of the priest of scientism telling me yes, no, and here is wrong think. So ex-Mormons, we have cool answers to all this, but it involves just getting out of your tribe a little bit and accepting that the world is a mystery and we can figure out these cool mysteries together.
And I actually want to piggyback on that. I'm playing a little bit of your yes and game that you love. They always accuse you of being the conspiracy theorist, which I think is you definitely,
I am.
Yeah, well, you love diving in, but it's also tongue in cheek. It's also very fun. And it's more meant just to like, we're having fun exploring what is a theory out there, not necessarily endorsement thereof. But the strange thing is I sometimes worry about how deep some of the conspiracies against you go. For the people that say they've left the cult of conspiracy behind, there's a lot of weird ex-Mormon subreddit conspiracies.
Yeah, no, there's a lot.
Like John DeLynn saying that the church sent prostitutes in order to lure him away from his wife. Meanwhile, he's having all the rosebud.
And then RFM has all these conspiracies about you having some other account when it's just... Yeah, it's a different person, dude.
And he thinks that all these racial epithets were said by like me or Kwaku or you on some place.
Yeah, Bill Reel is obsessed with saying that I'm actually a guy named Dave Schmidt. Facebook argument.
And then they demand evidence you're not gay.
And then Bill Reel starts telling everyone my legal name is actually Gary. Not Bill Reel, Mike Norton. I'm like, what are you talking about?
This is what's kind of interesting too, is so obviously you get some snarky people here and look.
Oh, wait.
Moot points.
Before we go into those, I just wanted to say to the critical thinking guy, because I found it on my phone so that I could actually read it.
Okay.
Your question was super clear. I'm sorry if I said anything that made it sound like I was judging your question. I just feel like these things that you're bringing up don't necessarily conflict with one another if we are less strict in the way that we view the church's narrative of what happened early on. Because I don't think the church is explicitly strict about it. I know people will say like the church says you can't believe in evolution, but that's not true.
You know, I asked this exact same question when I was a kid to Elder Faust.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, not the exact same, obviously word for word. I have to amend everything I say now or else they'll call you a liar. But when I was 13 years old, I asked this extremely similar question to Elder Faust. And maybe, who knows, a critical thinker, you seem to be a halfway decent person. You didn't engage in the same snark that like all of your compatriots on Exmo subreddit did. So, you know, if you can find a way to reach out and we can verify it's you, we invite you to have a conversation with us.
But one thing I noticed on this post, all my answers to these questions were really respectful. No matter what I said, I got downvoted. Even when someone was asking me about dinner and spaghetti and meatballs, I said bison meatballs are great. I got downvoted. So
really?
I was like,
yeah, like 20 downvotes.
Like an ex-Mormon hatred of bison. I would assume.
I want to see this so we can also prove that this really happened.
No, yeah, like it's seriously
because this is where I am. Let me just finish my thought, and then you can get onto the bison thought. And instead of us having a shotgun here, we'll actually have a cohesive chain. The next question was, that I saw because I was kind of randomly scrolling. How's priestcraft business these days? And I was like, okay, so here's moot points. And then you answered it, and your answer, it's really interesting. It says, "Don't feed the troll's troll. Check the profile. Obviously fake." First off, I looked at your profile. It's the photo that you took.
Yeah, it's my profile.
And only you have.
It's like it's me.
Well, not only you have, because somebody could take it.
Someone could have downloaded it.
But I'm just saying, I watched you take that photo. But it's not obviously fake. Like, these people are saying, oh, it's obvious that Joseph Smith was a charlatan and a liar. No, if we're standing in front of you with Kwaku on screen talking about how he created the file less than 24 hours ago in 2023, and here you are dismissing it with thought-terminating cliches that you say cults engage in, yet right here are the Midnight Mormons who are literally talking to you about how they started an ex-Mormon subreddit profile, and you're dismissing it saying, check the profile, obviously fake. And then your gatekeepers are censoring it and removing it. And this is all happening in 2023. And you're willing to lie about that in 2023. How can we say that your accusations of censorship and thought control and cultism in 1830 are real? We have the 2020 receipts that you're calling real things fake. How can we believe the 1830 receipts that real things were fake?
And part of it that's wild to me is like, they could have waited at least a day. They didn't even wait a full 24 hours to like determine. And so like, it's a thing where having a little patience can earn you a lot, like save you a lot of face in like not making accusations that turn out to be wrong later,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no. So I got downvoted and everything only because I was saying it.
So do you think it's fair to say that you really can't have a conversation with these people because you just downvote?
Clearly, there are some of them. Like,
to be fair, I got a couple messages from people who were like, "Yeah, I know it's you. Let's actually talk. I have some cool questions."
Oh, cool.
Rock on.
A lot of these people, it's just untethered rage. For example,
there's plenty of stupid Mormons too. So
how's priestcraft going? I think I said, by priestcraft you mean parties.
Yeah,
get great. He said, no, making money off religion. Like, do these people like? Back when Saints Unscripted was happening, there was all these narratives going around because someone got some like leaked sheet from the More Good Foundation of how much the church gives the More Good Foundation. And they assumed all that money was going to us when we were making like the first 5 months, we were being paid via coupons to Smiths.
And like gift cards, right?
Yeah. And then after that, we got like $10 an episode. It's like we were not making bank. We all had other jobs.
It was like compensating you for gas money.
Like it literally was not. And even to this day, it's like this totally like they have this idea that we do this and we're rolling it. No, we all have other jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't understand where they get this idea. They have a tiny screenshot.
Hey, how much did I pay you to come down here, bro?
0.
How much did I pay you, Brad?
0.
How much do I lose every month curating this show in its library?
Oh, who even knows the number
it's
of hours?
Thousands still. Yeah. It's thousands.
Literally, we just did a freaking event in BYU, Idaho. The day I land is the day I get on a flight to come here. Like, this is not like we're not money makers because of Midnight Mormons. We have separate jobs.
I had 7 different 1099s last year.
Yep.
This is a passion project, you know, like, and I found your meatballs.
But I know where the idea comes from. I know where the idea.
It's like they're not mad at meatballs. They see Kwaku and they're like, downvote. That's because. So they have an automatic disqualifier, and they say that we do that. But they're the ones doing it. They are so dogmatic.
Look, comment removed by moderator 18 hours ago, and it's bison meatballs are the way to go. Well, I figured somebody think I'm a certain way when I'm really not. A lot of people think I believe things I don't. So I figured I would just talk and let you guys see what you think. That got downvoted.
Yeah.
What?
As reasonable as possible. And it's just getting downvoted.
It's almost like they want to keep up a fake narrative of those they disagree with.
Yeah.
Weird.
Wow. Okay. So, you have anything more you want to say?
Well, yeah, I mean,
do you want to answer some
questions? Real questions
or should we just do that on a live stream tonight? Why don't we do that on a live stream?
Let's do it now. Let's do it now.
Do it right now?
We'll get more real questions on our live stream, I bet.
Okay, but they already removed the post, so we can't get any more.
Yeah, but you can still see the questions.
Okay.
Oh, Reddit's weird that way. The way their tech is set up, it's like a removed post, but you can
It's very 1990s chat forum.
It just makes it so you can't continue interacting.
Oh, okay.
So, I got a couple good questions. Again, I got downvoted on everything I said for no reason. So this guy asked this. He said, okay, Kwaku, I'll humor you. Your entire faith hinges on the Spirit because you need to feel the Spirit to verify the truth of the Book of Mormon according to Moroni's promise. So give explaining other religions a shot. Explain how they feel some form of personal revelation /spirit / godly love, and then explain how your personal feelings are then more valid or correct than theirs. Also take into account that most people in religion are born into it. I feel like it's just cocky to say that we have the full truth and only truth, and it's also very biased. So as a former believer, I would ask you if this doesn't look like confirmation bias to you, a self-fulfilling prophecy, if you will. Now, there are a lot of assumptions in this question.
Mm-hmm.
First one is explain how they feel some form of personal revelation. Explain how your personal feelings are then more valid or correct than theirs. I'm dying.
It's okay. It'll take time. I can edit it out.
So he's like, I want you to explain why you think your beliefs are more valid than others.
When was the last time you beat your wife? It's that style of a question, which I don't think he's doing intentionally. This is just something that shows up so commonly in this thread of argument that it's also hard to avoid.
It's what I call dark room talk. It's when you're in you're in your keyboard in your bed in a dark room and you forget normal like social guidelines and you begin speaking like a middle schooler who just got smart. You know what I mean? Like you just don't have like the bowling bumpers yet, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this I replied. I said, I don't think we have the full and only truth. I think God's message has been channeled through different inspired people. I consider Joseph Smith my prophet, yet can accept that Muhammad was a prophet. I think the somewhat isolated history we have in the Mountain West has pushed us into this assumption of soul truth. But we can't have soul truth. We just have authority for very specific claims we make. Example, I believe karma is real. I wouldn't go to a bishop to learn more about it. I would go to a Hindu. Doesn't mean I don't believe in the Book of Mormon. It means I also think the Ramayana has much to teach me too.
Okay, is this the okay, Kwaku, I'll humor you? Your entire faith hinges. Okay, I'm just going to put this on the screen.
That got downvoted.
Yeah, I'm just putting it on the screen here. Oh my gosh, it did. It got downvoted.
Yeah, that got downvoted because I had...
And you had a very nice answer that's fully... Actually, no, 4 I think means up. And then downvote. Oh no, your answer got downvoted.
Yeah.
Is a negative. Okay, yeah, there it is right there. -3. So interesting. Here's the other thing is right in between it. I see this question number 1. Have you ever Googled elevated emotion or elevation emotion? And I think, man, when somebody starts to say, well, have you ever Googled? Their assumption is that they're smarter because they disbelieve. They don't realize it requires more intelligence to be able to balance God and man than just go along with man.
And that they're smarter because they Googled one term.
Oh, have you ever Googled the bite model? Oh my gosh. Okay, the bite model would dictate that like the drama club in high school was a cult.
Oh, you mean the not peer-reviewed bite model? That bite model? That one?
Meanwhile, the actual people that investigate cults for the federal government all day long are like, yeah, Mormons aren't a cult. In fact, we're actually really grateful they're around, and half of our agents are Mormon. You know what I'm saying? It's like the dripping arrogance that just keeps you from being able to actually understand science. Like, the funny part is none of the actual scientists that created that fake made up term science from 1830 were like actual atheists. Newtonian mechanics that actually are the physics that predate carbon dating that Homeboy talked about. Okay. Huge alchemist. Albert Einstein saying, we have forsaken the beauty for the servant, where he said that, like, you know, our mind is a faithful servant, but, you know, he himself said, I am fascinated by the Nazarene. You know what I'm saying? Like the credence people give God that developed E equals MC square is 5,000 times. The people 5,000 times more intelligent than Ex-Mormon subreddit are 5,000 times also more respectful of religion, God, the possibilities of things we not understand being explained by prophets first, then by petri dishes second. You know, it's amazing the amount of arrogance that is required for this outward worldview. It just blows my mind.
Well, so I think this is interesting. I feel like some of the people on Ex-Mormon Reddit do want a conversation, do want to talk.
Yeah.
Others don't. They're just as dogmatic as the worst bishops and stake presidents in our church. All they want, they're not into the.
I don't think they're just as bad. I think they're worse.
Well,
no. Here's the thing.
It's our doctrine that we don't know everything.
Carden. They're exactly the same. The really judgmental members become the really judgmental ex-members.
That's a Chris Hanna theory that I still don't endorse. I think ex-Mormonism and the arrogance of it.
Yeah.
Like, if your religion requires humility of you, I think there's a headwind that blows. You know what I'm saying? There's a headwind that blows. So
I can see that, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing. I think this is kind of fascinating. So they're asking about other people's spiritual experiences.
Yeah.
My answer was an answer I think a lot of members of the church would agree with, that Joseph Smith is my prophet. Mm-hmm. But I can still recognize that Muhammad was a prophet. I can still do that. Mm-hmm. We're allowed to do that because we're open canon. Okay? The 1978 statement by the first presidency affirms the same thing.
Yeah.
Not one person on this subreddit, which at this point had thousands of views, not one person was interested in exploring that subject on how we can honor those sacred beliefs and even affirm the truth of those sacred beliefs of our brothers and sisters around the world. They just immediately went to Garment Wedgie 23 about Joe Smith is a 15-year-old baby snatcher, whatever that means. You know, it's like these guys are not interested in these real, actual conversations.
Oh, I found a good one, though. There's one. I found one. Can we talk about the unicorn?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see it.
It says, hey, Kwaku, hope you're doing well. The overexcited dragon. 1, how do you tell the difference between the spirit and your own emotions? That's a very good topic that we covered in a video called The False Gospel of Feelings Alone, or I can't remember how we titled it, but we did make a video on that. If they didn't see it, we'd recommend you check it out, or The False Doctrine of Feelings Alone. And then, do you believe that you're always perfectly accurate at identifying the spirit? Yes, perfectly accurate. Actually, I wouldn't say perfectly accurate, but I would say accurate.
Does not make mistakes.
Yes, I don't make mistakes.
Does not.
But, and then if you said no to number 2, how do you figure out which of your beliefs are false when you wrongly decide a thought or feeling came from God? How do you later separate the false revelations from real ones? I think we found it. I'm going to copy and paste this one so we can use it in a video. That was a good question. But look, there was one. There was a nice person.
No, there's a couple good questions.
Yeah, we found a nice person.
Cool DMs.
With a good logical layout of like, hey, here is probably a thing that really got in my way. How do you have an actual answer to this? I like it.
Here's one that's interesting. Temple rituals are fake. How does that make you feel? Followed up by, this one's a good one, actually, Quake. You might be able to have a unique perspective.
Oh, I think I actually answered that one today. The temple rituals are fake.
No. Well, you may have, but this question's interesting. Yeah. If this person's sincere, I think we should answer this. It says, if you are really him and you want to know it says questioning Mo. And I like that. If you are really him, to me, there's some humility there. and some openness. If you are really him, I'm struggling with my testimony. Given everything past prophets have said about black people, what are your thoughts about their words? How do you reconcile? Okay.
Yeah. Well, did I think I answered that.
Yeah,
one,
you did. It's his answers. His answer's about 3 down.
Oh, it's 3 down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I missed it. It's right in front of me.
Oh, that's my funny answer.
I'm an idiot. Okay, it says, they were wrong and they were dumb. Prophets can suck. Moses, Jonah, Solomon, David, and Paul are all have major stupid boneheaded moments and hurt people because of it. Yet Christian culture. By the way, is that not proof that you're not brainwashed? You literally just said these guys were boneheaded and did something stupid.
Like, that's humans. We're stupid.
Yes.
It's just like, okay.
That's literally what we're taught all the time.
Okay, so they were wrong and dumb. Prophets can suck sometimes.
Not in those words.
Yeah.
But
I think...
I'm using Reddit language.
By the way, this show is proof positive that all of their accusations about TBMs are false. Us 3 have a general consensus on most things, especially those important things, but have vastly different ways that we approach a lot of these controversial arguments.
like lizard people.
Yet all of us our temple recommend holding true believing Mormons, and it's okay. So anyway, they were wrong and dumb. Prophets can suck. Moses, Jonah, Solomon, David, and Paul are all had major stupid boneheaded moments and hurt people because of it. Yet Christian culture has made us think that prophets are supposed to be the borderline perfect. So we compare modern prophets to a fake version of ancient prophets and get upset when our modern ones say R-word things and create false doctrines. But the reality is ancient ones were just as fallible. God has a bunch of stupid humans to work with, and that's it. Don't let that harm your connection with the divine. Brigham Young will never sever my relationship with God, even though he said stupid moronic things. I appreciate what he did in bringing the saints to safety, but he doesn't have the power over me to stop my faith. Okay, that's worded in a way that I definitely wouldn't, but I would say that that we're told within our own doctrine that we will have, what's the phrase, Brad? The false idea, not premises of our fathers, the false traditions.
Yeah, wicked traditions of our fathers.
The wicked traditions of our fathers that we have to weed out of our modern church, constantly improving itself, because the straight and narrow is correctly translated to the narrow and narrowing as we shirk the old bad ways. Also, it says, so we compare modern prophets with a fake version of ancient prophets. That's the classic presentist argument that we say you have to get rid of. Also, I love how you said the ancient ones were just as fallible. God has a bunch of stupid humans to work with. I always say the church is true because we haven't broken it yet. And you can't find an institution out there that is less broken than the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
And
you know,
believe it or not, this exact stuff has like been taught over the pulpit.
Yeah.
It's not in these words, not in this exact way.
Yeah.
But look, Brigham Young's mad at me for this comment, but Emma Smith loves it. Does that make sense? Emma Smith's like, hey, remember when he bashed me at General Conference? Yeah, Kwaku, go ahead. You're fine.
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine. And this was very good, Kwaku. Again, you said it in your colloquial subreddit speech, which might have been a little bit edgy. So we hopefully give you some grace on that. But you said we compare modern prophets to a fake version of ancient prophets. And I thought that was very interesting because I love that phrase that Jim Bennett brought up where he said, in interviewing that one Catholic cardinal or that Catholic priest, he said, Catholics are the only ones who say that their prophet is infallible and their members don't believe it. Mormons are the only church that say their prophets are fallible and the members don't believe it.
Yeah,
they think they're infallible.
There's definitely a cultural thing there, but it's cultural.
Yeah.
Well, it is, but also I think it stems from this idea that the prophet can never allow the church to be led astray.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's actually comments about that further down. I think the same person actually says.
Okay.
Now I've fully jumped into the boat that's a fake foundation that was accidentally created in church history. It's not a quote from scripture, and it seems to be something that was developed borderline accidentally, in Brigham Young's presidency to kind of solidified in Wilford Woodruff's presidency.
Well, it's a little bit difficult when you have the man who is the governor, is the prophet, to discern what statements when he makes them are political, non-religious U.S. government statements and which ones are spiritual, inspired, you need to religiously consider this statements. You know, it's there's a little bit of a dicey
and it's
approach
also like, here's the thing. None of us will ever be in the position Brigham Young was in. I mean, you ever read about the account of the panic attacks he would have in the middle of the night because he would have dreams about the mob coming and like killing him and his family?
Yeah, Joseph Smith was beat. I mean, Oliver Cowdery was beaten.
Horrific things. He had to lead. Like, the guy dealt with more trauma than any of us have ever dealt with, and then he has all the people there by miracles and miracles. And it's like, okay, I'm the governor and I'm the prophet. So, but when I'm speaking, people are listening to me as both. So now he has to find a way to combine a political and spiritual. Like, he was trying to balance a dynamic that none of us are even close to trying to understand. Yeah. So I do think it is worth giving people more grace there. Yeah. And for what it's worth, we in Christianity we have believed. Okay, for example, the amount of times I've seen Christians post, "I never said it would be easy. I said it would be worth it." Jesus,
he never said that.
Yeah, it's not in the Bible. It's fake.
I had relatives with that on the wall with like a picture of Jesus
saying which thing again?
I never said it would be easy. I only said it would be worth it.
Oh, my mother had that one, but I didn't expect that was a Bible quote.
No,
I thought that was just
a lot of people think it's a Bible quote.
It gets treated as if it is.
No, that's just a cultural. It's like live, laugh, love. That wasn't in the Bible either, but it's in freaking Pottery Barn everywhere.
Yeah, so there's a lot
actually all of those words are in the Bible.
Well, yeah, okay.
There's a lot of fake scriptures. And there's a couple. It seems that Brigham Young made up a couple scriptures on the spot. In fact, we know he did because
really,
So in his famous talk about blacks in the priesthood, one scripture he made was he. I can't get the exact. We'll have to do another episode about it where he talks he says, "Don't you know that the scripture says that all children of Adam and Eve." The blacks will have the curse until all the other children of Adam have the priesthood. He's referencing a scripture there. Turns out the scripture doesn't exist. And we know that because later on in that talk he says, yeah, sometimes I just make up scriptures. They're just as good as the ones in the book. He says it in the talk. So that's how we verify he would just sometimes say stuff.
Okay, and that's funny if it's true. I'd have to see it to believe
true.
it.
It's true.
Okay.
And here's another thing that I always think about with Brigham Young. The things that were transcribed from him, they were multiple different transcribers, mostly George Watt. But do you guys know who Legene Carruth is?
No. Oh no, you've mentioned. I remember the Carruth name, but I don't remember what it was about.
Yeah, so she's a woman who's going through figuring out some of the shorthand of other things that were said by Brigham Young, and we're finding out just how much of an editor George Watt could have been sometimes, and how.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if you're real time, you try transcribing what I'm saying right now. Anyone who's watching this episode, try going back, replaying a portion, and writing down as fast as you can what is being said.
Or watching what the YouTube algorithm accidentally says you said incorrectly.
Yeah.
And
then recognize that's not possible with just normal handwriting. So they develop a thing called Pitman shorthand. And so you have George Watt going through and using that, but you have other people taking notes at the same time, and you start seeing there's some discrepancies. And I'm really interested to see what happens with more of her research and what it helps us understand, because I think we're kind of getting a lot of Brigham Young through a filter that we don't entirely understand what that filter looks like. So we need to take some of the things in the Journal of Discourses with a grain of salt. Yeah. And that's not just to say hey, we're going to protect Brigham Young from what he was saying and
No, you're applying, dare I say, the scientific method.
Yeah, I'm just saying be a little bit more patient and careful about how we judge things and have an open mind.
Yeah. Okay. Do you guys want to keep going? I think we can end it right here because we got to prep for the live stream tonight if we're going to be doing an Ask Me Anything because they just censored you on Ex-Mormon subreddit.
It's true. Bro. Yeah. Let's do it.
So, okay, we're going to move on to the next topic here. Get ready for a live stream tonight. If you guys want to live stream with us, check it out. But here we are. We tried to do an Ask Me Anything on Ex-Mormon subreddit, and all the people that wanted to, quote, just have a conversation ended up kicking off Kwaku despite his, I would say, extraordinarily courteous and kind treatment of said group. So we're going to live stream tonight. Join us there. This is Midnight Strike Through Mormons. See you guys in the next program.